In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
And welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicky Fraser, and the reason that I'm laughing so much is because Joe was just, I don't know what he was doing. He called it warming his face up and trying to persuade him to do whatever it was. Go on, do it.
No.
Oh, please.
It's not for public consumption.
Oh, man, I have a recording of it, so I might slip it. I might ask the guys. I might ask Podfly guys. I might ask you to slip it in there.
No.
Anyway. Welcome to the Business for Superheroes show.
Hello.
Hello. We are drinking Pinkster's Gin today, which my mum gave me for my birthday.
Which is very good.
Cheers. It's it's pink. It comes in a nice kind of square bottle.
What is the pink?
Botanicals.
Okay.
And you're supposed to drink it with good tonic, so we've failed on that count because we've run out of good tonic, and a sprig of mint, and we have failed on that count as well because we do have mint, but it's out in the garden, and
It's cold and wet out there.
yeah, so
It's pretty cold and wet in here.
But the gin's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice.
So yeah,
we're down to emergency tonic.
yeah,
Bit of a disaster.
we need to.
We need to grow up.
Well, if this is a gin and tonic podcast, you would think we would be more organised than this. Anyway, this week we are talking about charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent for those RuPaul fans out there.
Right.
We're talking about charisma. So, but I just wanted to start with what I've been up to this past weekend.
Oh my goodness.
So I would like to ask the listeners, what's the worst thing that can happen during a dance competition? What would you say the worst thing that could happen during a dance competition is, Joe?
Pants falling down.
Well, it's pole dancing competition, so if that happens, people are probably just going to cheer.
I don't know. Anti-terrorist group breaking in through a sidewall, and I don't know.
That's quite an exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd probably get a cheer as well, actually.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that can happen. You could forget your routine, but you can just make it up.
Pole could fall over.
That would be quite bad.
That would be bad.
That would be quite bad. But for me, the worst thing that can happen during a pole dancing competition is that my music just stops halfway through. Which is exactly what happened on Sunday evening during my pole dancing competition routine, during the actual competition.
Scary business.
It was a scary business. But I'm pretty proud of myself because I'd been basically bashing out the performance of my life, and it was very good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was really proud of myself, and the music stopped, and I was just like, hell no, I am not doing this again, because I just thought if I have to do it again, I would just be really nervous and tired.
Waiting for it to go wrong.
Waiting for it to go wrong, and I just, and someone shouted from the audience, carry on. So I just thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to carry on. So I did the rest of my dance to people clapping.
Just applause.
An entire room full of people just doing a rhythmic clapping like the scene out of Strictly Ballroom.
Yeah.
And honestly, I could cry because it was just so awesome, wasn't it? Just a whole room full of people being like, you know what, we're just going to get behind her. And there was no bitchy, oh yeah, her music's failed, so she's going to lose now. It was just full of people just wanting me to do the best I could. And the judges said afterwards, do you want to do it again? Because you can do it again if you want to. And I was just like, no, I don't think I can do it any better than I did it. And they said, well, we're happy to score you on your performance. And yeah, I won. And it's just, oh my God, I'm still floating on air a little bit. I say I won, two of us won, because two people from every category went through to the finals.
We're going to the finals.
We're going to the finals in Wigan, of all places. But yeah, the authentic pole dance finals. And I am really proud, I'm really excited. And it's my first ever pole dance competition. And everything that went wrong could go wrong. And it was just like, it was a good night though, wasn't it?
It was a good night.
Yeah.
It was a good night. Long day. I kind of, I've never seen so many women in their underwear
Yeah, you went boob blind, didn't you?
I did. I went boob blind by the end of the night.
But it was really cool that loads of just really hardworking, talented women just really being entertaining.
Yeah.
Really entertaining. And it was interesting watching them, wasn't it? Because you could tell that, that you could separate the people who were great from the people who were maybe not quite so great and just, have a little bit more work to do. And it wasn't really anything to do with...
It wasn't the difficulty of the moves
no.
or the dancey bits that they were doing or the spinniness on the pole or any of that kind of stuff, really, was it?
No, I mean, there's a certain amount of, you want to be a bit innovative and you want to do something that they haven't quite seen before, and they look for theme and storytelling, and so that's part of the reason why I did so well, I think, because I had a really good theme and a story to tell. But yeah, I mean, the difference is that some people up on the stage really did not look comfortable there.
Yeah, and to be fair, were I thrust into the middle of a pole dancing competition, I would not look comfortable either.
No, and it is very scary. It's a scary thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage to do it. And I'm absolutely not knocking any of the competitors, but somebody's got to win, and other people are not going to win. And so it was just really interesting to see, to try and call the winners of each category, and it wasn't always to do with the move until you got to the professionals.
Yeah.
The professional level, it really is on technique and stuff, but up until then, it's like it's your stage presence.
It's kind of on, how much you're enjoying yourself.
And how much eye contact you're making with the audience. People who didn't make any eye contact with the audience, they're never going to connect with the audience, and that's really important. So it was just a really interesting experience and a really, really fun experience. Yeah.
In the absolute beginners category, which, I mean, entering a competition as an absolute beginner, I think, is just the bravest thing.
Yeah, they were amazing.
They were amazing. They were all amazing. But the one who won it was the one who was having a whale of a time.
Oh yeah, I remember watching her. She was brilliant.
And she was just great. And, technically, nothing particularly amazing going on, but just having a whale of a time.
Yeah.
Loving it.
Just got the audience really behind her.
Everybody thought she was brilliant, and so she won.
Yeah, and that was really, really cool. So yeah, and it's really all about charisma, I think, or that certainly is playing a massive part, is the charisma that you have or do not have. And so I kind of that's what we're talking about today.
Charisma.
It follows on anyway from what we've been talking about the last few weeks, and it ties in certainly to my new book, Flamingo Your Business, which is out soon. Because one of the ways that you're going to stand out from other business owners is charisma. So Joe, who has charisma? What famous people can you think of, and people we just know that have charisma?
Oh goodness, that's you're going around springing questions on people.
Okay, I'll start us off then. Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
JFK.
JFK, definitely.
Very charismatic people. A lot of politicians actually quite charismatic.
Got to get a lot of people behind them.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury was amazing.
Oozed charisma.
George Michael.
Lady Gaga. Madonna. RuPaul. Absolutely RuPaul. And, other people that you might not think of as well, even though I think he's a complete arse biscuit. Tony Robbins, you can't deny that the man has charisma.
Yes.
He's made $1 billion out of, I think manipulating the masses, but there you go. I'm probably going to get hate mail for that. There's probably a lot of Tony Robbins fanboys out there.
Hi, Tony Robbins.
Yeah, right. My pole teacher, Annie, oozing charisma. Loads of the, pretty much everybody at the pole studio that I attend. And by the way, 3 of us who were in the competition got through to the finals, which is really, really cool.
That is cool.
And so, yeah, so I'm just kind of thinking, think about who has charisma that that is famous, that maybe isn't so famous, and look at why, how you get drawn in. And then I was thinking, who doesn't have charisma? Famous people who don't have charisma. And I can start you off with David Cameron.
Do you think?
Yeah, he just seems like a wet tea towel.
Okay.
And Theresa May, she doesn't have...
Theresa May is not oozing the charisma.
Maggie Thatcher had charisma.
Yes.
In buckets full. But Theresa May is some kind of a robot, I think. Do you think David Cameron had charisma?
Yeah, I think he did a little bit. I think he did.
I didn't feel it. It just made me think, he's just...
Yeah.
Barack Obama.
Yes, for sure.
Oozing charisma. Michelle Obama. Oozing charisma. So yeah, who has it? Who doesn't?
So
And
what is it? What are we saying charisma is?
Okay, so, well, there's a sociologist called Max Weber, and he first used the word charisma to describe inspirational leaders. And the word itself comes from the Greek charisma, which is spelled with a KH. And that means favour or divine gift.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is actually quite an apt description, really.
Gifted.
Yeah, gifted. Some people define it as being like part confidence, part presence, part sex appeal, and I think that's all true. But it's just that kind of je ne sais quoi, that indefinable quality that you can't, it's difficult to quantify it. It's compelling attractiveness and charm that can inspire devotion in others, I think.
Mm.
And, perhaps nobody is ever going to really agree on what it actually is, but everyone can recognise it when they see it.
So do you think somebody is charismatic? If somebody is charismatic, they're charismatic to everyone?
I think so, yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah, because, I mean, even when you look at people who are, like you might call evil, like Adolf Hitler undeniably had charisma. He inspired an entire movement of, evil. Charles Manson, he was undeniably charismatic. And, to watch interviews with them, to watch, if you watch the Nuremberg rallies, which there is film of, then yes, it's abhorrent and disgusting, but you can't deny that the man had epic charisma. Something. He had epic charisma. And that's, so I think even if it turns you, even if what you're hearing and seeing turns you off, you can still recognise it in people. You can still feel that magnetic thing,
See, I think there might be different people are charismatic to different audiences. Ooh. And yeah, some people might be charismatic to everyone. Freddie Mercury type charisma.
Yeah.
I mean, all you got to do is watch, what was it, like Wembley? Mental, crazy.
Yeah, when he was dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably subsets of charisma that don't appeal to everyone.
Yeah, maybe. That's interesting. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. But I think by and large, it's recognisable. It's recognisable, whether you like it or not, and whether it's being used for good or evil is, is neither here nor there. But yeah, I don't know. But then it got me thinking, do you remember that makeup advert? Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like that because it was, don't buy Maybelline because they test on animals, by the way. Use Urban Decay because their stuff is awesome and it's totally cruelty-free.
Nice.
So I am plugging Urban Decay right now. And Urban Decay, if you would like to sponsor our podcast, I am well up for that because I love your products and yeah, that would be really cool. But the Maybelline advert was a good one, and it was.
Everybody remembers it.
Everybody remembers it, but also the other reason I like it as a woman is because it was. I liked it because it was like, these aren't perfect models. It's like nobody's born with it. Nobody actually looks like that. Maybelline were even saying nobody looks like that. It's the makeup, it's the makeup artist, and all the rest of it. So, but for I was wondering if it's the same for people who are charismatic. Are they born with it? Do they have something that mere mortals can never touch or aspire to? Do you think?
I think it's like a lot of things. It's going to be a combination of upbringing and practice and training and desire. I think if you're brought up in a place where charisma is useful to you, I think if you're if you're a reasonably affluent kid growing up in a reasonably affluent place and wants is the rugby team leader, the rugby team captain, then you're probably going to be quite charismatic and people are going to follow you. So I think there's a lot of sort of childhood training that goes into it.
I think so as well, and I think that our school system is generally not set up to produce charismatic leaders. It's generally set up to, or at least when I was at school, I'm a bit out of date, but when I was at school, it was all about cramming information and passing exams, and there wasn't. Yeah, for sure. It's the same with me. I was just there for the facts. Yeah, and apart from a few people who were chosen by the teachers and the favourites, there really wasn't a lot of. There wasn't any entrepreneurial classes. There wasn't any, how to stand out from the crowd. It was all about you must fit in and do this and live this life and have a mortgage. And here come the exams. So I think you can definitely learn charisma. Yes, I think you can too. You need to know your chosen subject. Mm-hmm. For me, you need to know what the hell you're talking about. It needs to be clear and apparent that you know what you're talking about. You need to be likable. Preferably. I suppose that's not an essential, but it's definitely a bonus. Yeah. I mean, you can scare people into following you, but I would rather they liked me. What was it Machiavelli said? He said, and this is a quote of his that's always twisted, and it always annoys me because it's always quoted by people who've never actually read any of Machiavelli's stuff. It's better to be feared than to be loved. But the rest of that quote is, but you're much better off being loved because...
Right.
And so people always forget that part of it because they don't know what they're talking about. They're just quoting something that makes them sound cool.
Yeah, read The Prince.
Read The Prince, yeah. But yeah, so you can learn to be charismatic.
I think you can learn to be charismatic, but there's a few parts you need to get sorted.
Yeah, but it's not difficult to do, and we're going to come to that in a moment.
Okay.
Even if you're not going for world domination, by the way, even if you don't have your own business, developing charisma is a really important life skill that will help you in all kinds of social situations as well. I mean, if you think about this, if you're introverted like I am, and you've elevated social awkwardness into the kind of art form that I have perfected, such as saying to a man in a wheelchair, well, any landing you can walk away from is a good one, isn't it?
That was a great story.
That was a great one. Luckily, he found that funny. I just wanted to crawl into a hole in the ground. But yeah, practicing your charisma skills will be very, very valuable for you. It's very important. So, Joe, what do you think makes up charisma? What elements? Because psychologists have a whole range of opinions about what makes someone charismatic.
Confidence, for sure. For me, I'd say knowledge.
Interesting. Because I don't think that that's essential. I think that if you've got a load of the other stuff, I think it's important, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's essential because I think there's quite a lot of charismatic people out there who bullshit. Look at Donald Trump. Yeah,
but he's got knowledge of marketing and tanning products, if nothing else. I don't know. Confident. If I'm going to follow somebody, they need confidence, they need knowledge, and they need to be likable.
Yeah. Well, I have 10 elements of charisma.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I could drag 3 out of my.
You can drag 3 out of your brain.
Small head.
But I think I'm probably being a little bit nitpicky. But should we run through the 10 elements?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, these are in my book, by the way. So when my book comes out, people, you can buy my book and highlight to your leisure. Okay, listening. People who are charismatic listen really carefully to the people who are talking to them. And you must have noticed this. When you're having a conversation with somebody. And we've talked about this before when we were doing the persuasion stuff. Do you remember the hostage negotiation?
Hostage negotiation. Good series. Look it up.
You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion. Because there's nothing more... I don't know, it's like belittling than talking to somebody who is like checking their phone or looking over your shoulder to see if somebody more interesting has come in the room, or... Do you know what I mean? So giving people your attention.
Yeah. I'll go with attention more than listening.
No, listening as well, because people really need to feel heard. That's if you really, really listen to someone and make them feel like the most important person in your world right now, that's an incredibly attractive thing to do.
Okay. I still think that's attention rather than listening, but okay. I'll go with you.
Okay, I think they're the same thing. We can fist fight over that later.
You'll lose.
And going back to hostage negotiation again, empathy.
Okay.
Making an effort to understand what somebody else is going through, which I think most people don't really bother doing.
Okay.
I mean, again, I think you can get away without that because I would suggest that Adolf Hitler wasn't in any way empathic.
Okay, right. Mm-hmm.
But empathy, for sure. Walk a mile in somebody's shoes and show that you understand them. Leadership.
Leadership, for sure.
Yeah, so Seth Godin, who is a wise owl, said, being a leader gives you charisma. If you look and study the leaders who have succeeded, that's where charisma comes from the leading. And I had never thought about it like that. I'd never thought about it that way around. I always used to think you had to have charisma before you could become a leader. Mm-hmm. And I think I was wrong about that. I think stepping up and leading I think it's probably a two-way street, It feeds into itself.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think you can be a leader without charisma.
But you might not last very long.
But leaders are charismatic, usually.
Yeah. Because I never thought of it that way around, because I never thought of myself as a leader before I started my superheroes group.
Mm-hmm.
And then Catherine, hi Catherine, who is awesome and in New Zealand, when she started calling me our leader, and I just figured it was like a tongue-in-cheek thing, and I chuckled and kind of carried on. And then other people mentioned it every now and then, and it took me quite a long while to realise that actually I am a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I have a group of people that I lead, and if people look to you for inspiration and teaching, and if you inspire change and action in other people,
you are by default a leader.
You are by default a leader, yeah. And by default, you must have some measure of charisma, because otherwise, why would these people be paying any attention to you?
Mm-hmm.
And that goes beyond business as well. I got a lovely email from Hannah. Hi, Hannah.
Hey, Hannah.
Who reads all about my pole dancing exploits and all the rest of it. And because of that, she's now running, or so she says, she's now entered and is running the London Marathon, which I think is completely awesome. And I'm really proud of her. And that's just really, really cool.
That is cool.
And so, yeah, so if you inspire change and action in people, then you're a leader. And I think that's really cool. Self-confidence, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely need self-confidence. My first mentor, Peter Thompson, hi Peter.
Hey Peter.
Once told me that to be a leader and run a successful business, you have to live in a small village just south of arrogant. And I think he's right. You need to have more self-confidence than the average person, I think. Because we are told, have you noticed this? We're told as a society and from quite a young age that, don't blow your own trumpet, don't brag.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, actually, if you've done something that you're really proud of and you've worked really hard for it, it's not bragging. And it really bugs me when people kind of try and tear somebody down for shouting about their accomplishments. Mm-hmm. And it's happened to me before. And I, now I just kind of think, well, screw those people, they're not important. But it's perfectly fine to shout about your accomplishments. You should do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's self-confidence. There is a fine line, I think, between confidence and arrogance. Arrogance is not an attractive trait, but self-confidence is very attractive. It's, you can be, I have known people who you've initially wouldn't look at twice in the street, and then you get to know them and they become very, very attractive because they are.
Oh, thanks, love.
That's not true. You started off good looking and got even more good looking.
Oh.
This is where I could tell a story and a sign. No, when my mum first saw a picture of Joe, I showed her a picture just when we started dating. And she said, "Ooh, he's very good looking," implying that, how did I catch that fish? I was just like, oh, geez, thanks, Mum. Oh. You just spilt gin down your front.
No, I didn't drink it.
You spilt gin down your front. So,
hi, Kathy.
So self-confidence, and that was the difference between the best pole dancers in the competition on Sunday and the rest of them.
Yes,
really was the self-confidence thing. Great storytelling versus just droning facts. Charismatic people are good storytellers.
Yes,
they keep you interested.
Motivating.
Swagger. I love that word, swagger. Don't you?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, why? Do you disagree?
Oh, well, I don't know how does it relate? How is it different from confidence?
Well, I think it's body language confidence, and it's linked closely. It is, but even if you don't feel confident, if you put a bit of swagger into your walk and your movement, then you look more confident, and then you can feed in and build your confidence. It's the kind of fake it till you make it thing.
Okay.
It's got a certain amount of validity. But you know how some people kind of slink into a room unnoticed and they kind of flatten themselves against the wall almost, and they're almost screaming, "Don't look at me." And other people grab your attention as soon as they walk in the room, not from doing anything big or from, doing the big I am or look at me, but just because the way they walk in and the way they hold themselves and the way they move says, I am in command of my own space. This is my space. And I can do what I want in it, totally comfortable in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people do that. So, swagger. Physical self-confidence, I would think. Body language. Courage. Which is not the absence of fear.
For sure.
It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
Yes. Absence of fear is stupidity.
Well, no.
It is in a lot of situations.
Ignorance, maybe. Ignorance.
Okay.
And some people have a switch missing in their brain that they genuinely don't feel fear. I wouldn't say that's stupidity. I would say that's wired differently. Because some people are wired differently though.
I'm not disagreeing.
And they genuinely don't feel it. So feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Like Elon Musk gave the Falcon Heavy launch a 50-50 chance of succeeding, and it costs $90 million to launch the thing every time, and he did it anyway. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it's a good thing, isn't it? It's you either win or you learn stuff.
Yeah. Action. People who do things rather than just talk about doing things.
For sure. There is a very strong correlation, I find, with people who say, I am going to do this, or I am planning to do that, with people who don't actually do this or do that.
Yeah.
I think people who do things do them and then tell you they've done them.
Yeah.
And people who tell you they're going to do something probably won't.
Yeah. I've noticed that in myself, you know, if I talk more about doing something than actually doing it, I'm like, I'm probably not going to do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I've got a thing that I just get on with, it's like, oh, this thing's going to happen.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, and I use that as a gauge for how much do I want to talk about this thing and how much do I actually want to do it. Because if I want to talk about it more than I actually want to do it, then it's probably, there's a blockage there somewhere. There's some lack of clarity that I need to fix. So yeah, doers, not talkers. Taking responsibility for everything, even if it's not your fault.
Yes.
And that is so important for life as well, because it's like, how many times do you hear people blaming everything?
Oh, it's all somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
Couldn't possibly sort it out because it's somebody else's thing that they've done. Oh.
And why would you give away all of your power and control to, you know, well, who? Everybody else. It's like, fix it. It's like, don't bother getting the blame thrown out, because that doesn't help anything, you know, throwing blame around. It's just, what's happened? How do we fix it?
Yeah.
Fix it yourself.
And get on with it.
Yeah, nobody
Don't
else
talk
is gonna,
about it.
Yeah, nobody else is going to do it for you. It's not. And finally, my final aspect of charisma, I think, is kindness. This is important for me, anyway.
Okay. Kindness.
Yeah, being kind to people. Not necessarily nice, because I don't think it's the same thing.
What's the difference?
Well, it's funny you should ask that. I talk about that quite a lot in my book, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But nice, the original meaning of nice, even the definition of nice, is slightly different. But nice comes from outside. It's how you want to be seen.
Right.
And kindness comes from your internal values.
Really? I've never thought that.
That's what I think.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my take on it. I'm not saying that, you know, that's what everybody should believe. But for me, it's like, you know, sometimes if a friend asks me, what do these trousers look like? And they look awful on her and she's about to buy them, it would be, you know, to be nice, I might go, oh yeah, they look really nice, because I want to save her feelings. But if she's going to spend like 50 quid on a pair of trousers that make her look awful, I'm going to be like, actually, that's not kind. No. So, you know, to be kind, you would say, actually, I don't think they're the trousers for you. Let's have a look at these instead.
They make you look. Yes.
Yes. Not flattering.
Not flattering. Yeah. So, well, yeah. I mean, I think the difference between niceness and kindness is courage.
I think you're right. I think you're right. That's very closely linked. Because it is difficult to tell people hard truths. It's like speaking truth to power.
Yes.
It's a difficult thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. So, yeah, do you have the guts to do it? So, yeah, that's like a crash course in charisma, I guess. Or my take on charisma, anyway. Your frowny face indicates that you don't agree with everything I've just said.
I don't agree. Well, it's not that I don't agree with everything. It's that I've not spent much time thinking about this other than the last 27 minutes and 17 seconds. It's because when I think of, you know, Freddie Mercury, I'm like, well, was he kind? I mean, he did things and he was brave. So that's two of them ticked. You know, he's got courage and he's got doing.
I'm not saying that everyone has to have all of them. At all, because I don't think Adolf Hitler was kind.
No, okay,
he was the opposite.
True. Fine, yeah.
But I don't think you have to have all of them. But I think you need a good chunk of them.
Okay.
I think there are some cool.
I'm more comfortable with that then.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't for a second suggesting that to be charismatic you have to tick every single one of those boxes. Here is
this list of things you must be.
Yeah, I just think that there are a bunch of things that you want to tick a few of those boxes at least. And if you can tick all of them, I think that's the best thing, because I think kindness is, the world doesn't have enough kindness.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Right.
So my takeaway this week is anyone can learn to be charismatic. So pick a thing and work on it. Confidence, I think, is probably the most important thing for most people listening.
Yeah, I think so too.
Have confidence in yourself and in what you know and what you can do.
And if you're not feeling very confident, then pretend.
Yeah, fake it for a bit. That's what I did for so long.
Yeah, pretend. Or just think, well, what would a confident person do?
Yeah.
In this situation? Well, they would just get on with it. They would make a decision and they would do it, and then just behave like that.
And I tell you what, if I can do half of a pole dance and then have my music stop and then carry on and do the rest of the pole dance with no music, then you can bloody well do anything. I
think a few years ago, if that had happened, you might have just completely come to pieces at the seams. I would have walked off the stage, I would have cried in a corner, and that would have been the end of the competition for me. Yeah. And I know it would. Yeah, and you wouldn't have gone on to repeat it. No.
I would never have done another competition again. And so to look at how far I've come in the last few years is just...
I think that's important to say, actually, to people who are listening, thinking this is a big ask.
Yeah.
Because it's a progression.
It is a progression, yeah. You work up to this stuff and you do one thing at a time, small, work on small things.
It's a development.
It's
a work in progress. It's not a destination.
Life is a work in progress. You're never going to reach whatever, how boring would life be if you reached all your goals? You've always got to have something to work towards.
For sure.
Personal development is by far the most important thing you can ever work on. More important than building your business is building yourself.
Best investment.
Best investment. So anyone can learn to be charismatic. But I just wanted to add as well, and I thought about this because this is what Seth Godin does with his podcast, and I love Seth Godin, so I'm going to shamelessly copy his idea.
Hi, Seth.
I wish. Has anyone got any questions they want to ask me?
Ooh.
Yeah. So email me questions and we will answer them on the podcast.
We will have a go.
We will answer them on the podcast next week, or I will find out where you can find out the answers if I can't answer them. Ask us questions, anything you like. This week's unsung hero is my pole mama, Annie.
Hi, Annie.
Hi, Annie. We love you. I love you.
Good job
so
at the
much.
weekend.
She runs the best pole studio on the planet. And I just have made such good friends there. And she helped me put together such an amazing routine that got me through to the finals. And I love you guys so much. So Annie is completely awesome. And I know she's listening. Annie, I love you. And by the way, Annie is going to Australia to compete in the International Pole Championships, which is incredible.
Crikey.
And I so wish I could go and watch. So I can't wait for that. Coming up next week, I think we're going to talk about body language and carry on that charisma theme a little bit because there's a lot to say about that.
Okay, we're not moving on to uniqueness.
Well, we've done, this whole thing is uniqueness. I was just being funny with the name of the podcast. for those who have noticed. Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. RuPaul fans, this is a shout out to you. So yeah, body language. What you can learn from strippers.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little bit about Sally Ann, but not too much because we're all a bit traumatized. Call to action. Pre-register for my brand new book coming out in May.
Mm-hmm.
Flamingo Your Business. Give me your name and email at vickyfraser.com/flamingo and I will let you know as soon as you can order it. Bookaholics Anonymous is free. You can join the book club, vickyfraser.com/book club. This month we are reading Go for No, which is a very, very tiny short book. So, you've got time to join us and read it.
Cool.
Take you a couple of hours. You can join my superheroes and actually get stuff done in a supportive environment where I will kick your ass, but there'll always be kindness and nobody will mock you.
Good.
Much. No, nobody will mock you. You can join at businessforsuperheroes.com/inner-circle. If you like this podcast, go to iTunes and subscribe, or Stitcher or wherever, and please leave us a review.
We do like reviews.
Or share it. If you know somebody who will enjoy this nonsense, send them a link, vickyfraser.com/podcast.
Cool.
That's all for this week.
That's it.
Thanks very much, guys. Thank you for listening. Thanks, Joe.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.
Good.